So in Magick, God is not comprehensible to the limited mind. It is the one impermeable, undefinable, unlimited thing, yet no thing, above all form. It is not even confined to man's definition of force. Force and form are only physical manifestations of God, if you will. A simple and similar analogy is to compare hydrogen and oxygen. They are both distinct. When combined, a third new homogeneous substance is formed that is not hydrogen or oxygen. It is called water. God is the phenomenon of nature, meaning the natural course of events, not simply trees and butterflies. God is nature. God does not conform to the customs of man. It is above such restrictions as male or female, force or form. Both are born from it, thus both are contemporary halves of a whole, which is kind of like that third state. God is not intellectual. It does not judge to meet the standards of a theology, nor is it prejudiced. God, gravity, matter, personality, air, life, time, law, chaos, are laws or principles that are kind of beyond human understanding from this framework, from what is given at this level. However, to attempt to intellectualize God, man has created God in his own image, from culture to culture. This formulation is assigned to an ethical system, an organization called religion, and then man gave God human eyes and a brain. To the Aborigines, God is one thing, to the early Romans another, to the Jews yet another, and so on and so forth. Now, a scholarly look at the biblical phrase, God made man in his own image, is often used by those who don't really understand the difference between image and imagination, and can't recognize that there's creation without scientific explanation, at least as is understood at this level, with what we've been given. So, who originally translated the word image? If a thing is made in image, in this case man, it is not yet manifest. It is superior to the confinement of elements. An image, according to the Kabbalistic four-world system, is not on the same plane as physical manifestation. More importantly, our culture's arrogant psychoanalysis of God's actions, such as grace and condemnation, is merely what man interprets of phenomena to conform to his own beliefs and behavior. The laws of nature demonstrate that all corporeal bodies must come to an end. If man was immortal, it would be unnatural because nothing physical lasts forever. To believe in human immortality is quite necessarily against the laws of nature. So if God is eternal and does not exist on the physical plane, where does that leave the theist with a concept different from his own framework? So, thus an immortal phenomenon such as God is incomprehensible to man's three-dimensional physical brain. The phenomenon of nature demonstrate that intellect is insufficient for a true level of understanding. Higher magical experience replaces man's intellect. This transcendence is also beyond man's identifiable feelings. It leaves a more subtle path which is deep in each person, called the arcane, the secret, the occult, or simply the unknown. Didn't the ancient wise men say one cannot see the face of God and live? They meant one had to transcend the confines of human experience in order to understand and unite with this true God. Since it is unmanifest. There exists no face of God. Thus, the paradox. All manifestation lives, 1. And 2, life, not man, it is said, is immortal. For life energy is beyond the chemical constituents of the finite body, the elements. So, the alchemical insinuation that there is no waste in nature indicates that all is one. Though things are separated by imperfection and incompleteness, which, when all things recombine with the creative force, the physical plane does not really exist. Man lives at one with his true spirit in that state. The state of perfection unites the chemicals of one's body or thing to its other body without ego separation. This is the ancient way of attempting to describe steps of individual attainment, the rungs of the ladder, so to speak. It carries through into every religion and philosophy, though its symbols and interpretations may vary from path to path, depending on cultural semantics, interpretations, names, what have you. So, you could use the word soul, you could use the word spirit, but that would be that God is soul, spirit, eternal, personal. It is perfection in creation, reflected in the perfected part, and the perfected part, that which is in all things, that which is life, so including the physical form. Thus, to speak of one's perfected self is to claim to be able to identify with a transcended, multi-dimensional spirit, or soul, or self. It is an egotistical thought, a rationale that reduces this indescribable, universal, and awesome phenomenon to common words, and to dismiss it completely. And speaking about one's relationship with God inhibits the perfected God self from liberation from its more ego-formed attachments. This type of work is that which does not become coffee table chatter, does not become idle talk. This is something that one must overcome and learn and discover for themselves with help. But for example, in the Egyptian tradition, the goddess Isis wanted to be united with the soul of the high god Ra. However, being an individual, she wasn't complete, just an aspect of the whole of creation, and limited to only bare life and not form. Thus, if the name of God is not pronounced, but if one unites with it as a symbol, the manifestation of that individual ego would be annihilated, and one's personal perfection would ensue. How can man refer to then God as him, her, it, since it is all and no thing, wisdom and not words? The multitudes of people who follow the ideas of man therefore become led into the depths of pain and illusion.